Hey everybody, welcome to this week's episode of With All Due Respect. We are your hosts. I'm Ryan Shead. That's Marcus Flowers. Brother, how are you doing?
Hey brother, 2 weeks into 2026 and
I already want it to be over.
I'm like, what in the actual hell is going on right
I'm just
now?
hoping no more breaking news happens while we're live. That would be preferable.
Seems to happen every time we come on.
It sure does. But
something hits the fan. I mean,
I'm actually excited about today's show. We have a lot of heavy stuff to talk about on the back end, but as we've told you, our goal when we started this was to help facilitate the future leaders of the Democratic Party, to get the right people in the pipelines, not just at the federal level, but down at the county and city levels and state levels. So today, we have actually an old friend of mine. His name is Chris Fowler. He is running for election in the Oklahoma House of Representatives to represent District 91. He declared candidacy for the 2026 election. Chris here served in the U.S. Air Force from 2004 to 2024, earning a bachelor's degree from Southwestern College in 2013 and a graduate degree from the University of Maryland, all while serving our country. So, brother, it has been a while, but it is so good to see you, man.
Thanks, Ryan. It's great to see you too. It's been a while, huh?
It has been, but I got to tell you, I wasn't very surprised when I started getting messages from some of our friends saying that you were running for office there in Oklahoma. So thank you for stepping in and putting in the work and knocking the doors and fundraising and all of it. So,
my absolute pleasure.
Proud of you, brother. So let's get into it, man.
Let's do it. Chris, let me first of all say thank you for your service, brother. You're running for a seat in Oklahoma City, a place that's near and dear to my heart because I lived there, worked on Tinker for many, many years. So I know the area and the district that you're running in. Spent many a day there. But what I want to do is to start off, and this doesn't have to be your 5-minute stump or anything. What I want to do is tell us a little bit about you first. Tell us about yourself and what makes Chris Chris.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, thank you, Marcus, for not only the intro, but also sharing a little bit about your race and actually throwing your hat in the ring when you did against Marjorie Taylor Greene. I think it's so important to contest all of these seats whenever we can. So,
man's competition, brother.
Heck yeah. So a little bit about me is back 2024 is when I retired. I was taking my educational break and studying computer science now, and I'm still a full-time student using my GI Bill. And I was going to use this time after my retirement as a break to get into my second career and also show my girls that, education doesn't have to stop at any age. They think I'm really old at 43 and I'm trying to prove them wrong. But if you know anything about Oklahoma, it's that we've now fallen to 50th in education. And I was the type of parent, post-retirement where I'm starting to call my district superintendent because at the time we had an out-of-control state superintendent of education named Ryan Walters, who's gotten national news in all the wrong ways many times. The district superintendents were always in a bad spot. They always had to stand up to the state superintendent while keeping their jobs and also, respecting the rights of all the students. And so they're getting phone calls from parents like me. And one day, my district soup tells me, well, if you really want to help us, because I had asked him, well, how? Well, then you have to put pressure on elected representatives. When I tried that route, I would either never get the time of day, or if I did, it would just be like a one-line answer, like, hey, we'll try to, a later date. We're going to try to use the power of the purse to hold them accountable. And the bottom line is they were never interested in it, because every single time they had a chance to take a vote on the floor, to stand up for public education, to adequately fund it, and to hold Ryan Walters accountable, they failed. And so this is my way of applying pressure to our legislature.
Outstanding. And you're running against the incumbent Chris Kennedy in that district?
Chris Kennedy is our current representative, but the good news is he's term limited in 2026. This district is up for grabs, and it's ready for flipping.
Outstanding. Outstanding.
Nice.
So what made you run was public service, and Oklahoma being ranked 50th in education is bad. I was living there during the time when, there was the big scuttlebutt and kerfuffle over arming teachers in the school system. And I'm like, guys, that's not what you should be really worried about. You should be worried about educating these kids better. I had kids in school there, so
it was up to them. They'd be educating them on how to break the gun down right and put it back together faster. Speaking of that, when I personally think of Oklahoma, I think MAGA country, and it's kind of nice to have you on, because I would just want to ask you: is that a safe assumption? Like, is that a fair characterization?
Your experience.
Good point.
Well, the great news is it's not my experience, but let me tell you why. Because for so long I had kept my head down, kept my beliefs to myself, because I felt like I was the only one who had them, because I heard that narrative too, right? But when I started actually digging down, I found it's not the case. There's a lot of active independents and Democrats in my district. It's about 56% Republican in my House district here.
Okay.
Now, the remainder is split between independents and Democrats. When I go and knock doors, I find that independents are, a fast-growing voting bloc. Most of those independents, are ready to, just find somebody who's listening to them, first of all, as well as is going to follow up and follow through for them and their families. And the most surprising thing about all this, actually, is when I knock Republican doors, they're the ones by far I knock the most of.
Okay.
I'm trying to show that I'm actually here to listen and then work for their families as well. And most of the time, Ryan, they actually don't care about party. But if it does come up, what I'm hearing on the doors today is often either something like, okay, I think I can vote for a
Open
Democrat.
to that,
Or what I've been hearing more and more of is, you're a Democrat? Good, because I'm not voting fascist again. Or good, my party has left me. And so I'm hearing this a lot.
I'm hearing a lot of that too. It is really interesting to watch the landscape change. And Marcus and I have actually talked about this a lot. He's experienced a lot more than I did. But, I campaigned a little bit too, and I found the same kind of thing. And even now, I don't even have to campaign. I coach my kids' soccer. And when I talk to other parents and we happen to talk about issues, we don't talk, who did you vote for? We start the conversation off with, man, grocery prices suck right now, don't they? And then that leads to us talking about other issues. And 8 times out of 10, we end up looking at each other, even if we voted differently, and being like, we have a lot in common right now.
Yeah. And Chris, I'm so glad that you pointed that out, because one of the things in campaigns, especially in primaries and Democratic primaries, you'll have campaign staff that say, don't waste your time talking to Republicans.
Yeah.
It's a waste of time. Just focus on the Democratic voters. Let's just only knock on these doors. And I'd be like, man, I'm leaving a lot of doors here. And I see people out and about. I'm just going to go talk to them.
Yep.
And I talk to Republicans and independents alike. And surprisingly, and I was running against Marjorie Taylor Greene, a popular foil.
In a
People
very
were
red
willing to have
district.
a conversation with me in Georgia. Now, even more so when I became the candidate, and we were in the general election. I spoke with a lot of our Republicans. I had Republicans showing up at my office and telling me things like, I've never voted for a Democrat before, but I'm going to vote for you because I don't like what's going on.
The good faith conversations.
You just have the conversation.
Yeah.
Listen to people. That's one of the things that I've learned, and so you're learning that now, Chris. Listen. Yeah. People want to be heard. People want to be felt, and know that their issues are being taken seriously. So.
Yeah. I think that, that's fantastic. That's been my exact experience. And I'm so glad that you put it into words. When I show up to somebody's door, I'm not like, hey, I'm Chris, I bleed blue, I'm a Democrat, and I'm here to solve all your problems because I know better. It's about establishing a connection, understanding what they're feeling and what is impacting them. And that's what I lead with.
Yeah.
And what you find out more times than not, and I say this and people don't believe me, but you find out there in the real world, and I'm not talking about on social media where people are taking snipes, this, that, and the other. What you find out is we have more in common. It's hard to dismiss someone's humanity when they're standing right there
Face to face. Yep.
Absolutely.
You can't dismiss their humanity when you're
That's a really good point.
And there's no substitute for showing up in person.
Absolutely.
No, there isn't, because it shows you're putting in the work.
Yeah.
So here's a question: what's the issue? What's the biggest issue that Republicans in your district feel like they're facing?
It's the same one as the Democrats are facing and the independents are facing, and that goes back to our education system. Yeah. If you're a parent, you care about education. If you're not a parent, but you expect to rely on a doctor someday or a lawyer or a road engineer, you want a good education system. Yep. So that's what by far that is the number one issue right now. Next would be the cost of living. This is Southwest Oklahoma City. A lot of people think of Oklahoma as a very low cost of living state, and that's true. But when you look at this part of it, it's actually pretty expensive to live in. You got families in apartment complexes. They're struggling to pay $1,400 in rent every month, and the minimum wage is $7.25 an hour. It's still the federal minimum. And because our legislature refused to vote anything to work,
the legislature hasn't increased it at all.
They have not. So it's still tied to the federal minimum. But Oklahoma voters on June 16th on the primary ballot have a chance to raise that minimum wage to $15 an hour and tie it to the cost of living. So every time I knock a door, I'm telling people about that. That's something that's resonating across party lines. It doesn't matter if somebody's Republican, independent, or Democrat. They're being impacted by it, or their kids who are 17, 18, 19, trying to find those jobs. They're finding a lot of jobs in this area are like paying $10 or $11 an hour. And they know that their kids aren't going to be able to move around. Yeah. It's not. Yeah, it's not when you have rent prices that high, when you have groceries what they are, and people now are being impacted by the loss of those ACA subsidies, and Sooner Care is being cut. Sooner Care is our Medicaid expansion program. It was, again, another example of when the voters had to take control away from our legislature, which refused to expand Medicaid for so many years in Oklahoma. But 5 years ago, they took that out of the legislature's hands and overwhelmingly voted to approve it, just like I think they will for the minimum wage increase this June.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's essential at this point. I mean,
I left OKC in 2018. This was before
not that long ago.
Started skyrocketing. And one of the things I tell people is OKC has a huge veteran community. I mean, you've got Tinker Air Force Base right there. Lawton's not too far away. Fort Sill. So you have a lot of veterans living there, and disabled veterans who need the VA and who are living on fixed income. So
speaking of your
affordability, I know is an issue in your district right now, Chris.
Absolutely.
You do have a lot
the federal ties are really strong here, and we're right next to Will Rogers.
Yeah, you're right next to Will Rogers, exactly. So FAA is there, exactly. That's the headquarters. So
all right, so that leads me into my next question, and I'm going to ask this in the most benign, unbiased way I can think to ask it. Are you seeing any tangible effects from the current administration's policies in your district, positive or negative?
Yeah, one of the visible ones, one that's on everybody's mind. You have a national audience. I'm not going to dance around it. It's ICE. That is impacting Oklahoma City. But let's be honest about one thing here. The reason it's in Minnesota, I believe, is because it's a blue state. Oklahoma seems to be relatively shielded against that right now. I say relatively because it's not that ICE isn't here. They are here. It's happening generally a little bit north of my district, but tough in this media environment, especially with legacy, to get the kind of reporting that I would desire. So hearing those on the ground people tell me about where they're seeing it and what they're seeing is what's informing my views on this. And I just on Sunday, I spoke with a constituent in my district and who works for a local college, and they are responsible for a course which teaches people who speak Spanish primarily, how to be successful at the college. And they've told me that their enrollment just dropped by 50%. And this person also a U.S. citizen, right? Because they are a voter. And I'm talking on their door, carries around their passport everywhere they go, and that they don't make any unnecessary trips anymore. So it's just work, grocery store. Let's not spend money in the economy. Let's not contribute to the economy. Let's not participate in community, right? I mention economy, not because that's the most important part of that, right? The most important part of that is somebody feels terror in their own home. But these are policies that don't make sense at the local or federal level in any way. And it is impacting economy, and it is in fact impacting our community here. And so, yeah, that's how I see it playing out right now. In addition to the loss of ACA subsidies, like I mentioned earlier.
Yeah, absolutely.
Marcus and I have talked about this. Go ahead, Marcus. Sorry.
No, Chris, that fear is real. We're feeling some of that in Georgia as well, which is also, Georgia's more purple than red, but we've voted red lately, and that's the point. And it's starting to have a chilling effect on some of these local elections where you've got a Latino community who's like, we're afraid to go out because what's going to happen to us if we're out voting and ICE or police who are empowered by ICE to go out and start picking up. Some police departments do that enforcement as well.
The economy does matter, though.
I'm pretty sure they do the same thing in Oklahoma as well. So people are, it's having that chilling effect, and it's affecting state and local elections, like your school board races, your city council races, where you have a large Latin community. And
well, we also have to be real exactly about the economic impact as well.
Oh, definitely.
People don't realize, but even they call them illegals, but they still are paying taxes.
They're paying taxes.
Like if they're in our community, they're paying taxes. They may not be paying federal taxes per se the way we do, but they're still paying all the other taxes related to our areas. So you're losing that. And then you need to look at it from a business standpoint. All those small businesses and restaurants and whatever that used to have patrons that would show up, now everybody's scared sitting in their home. So you've got all those small businesses now in your community that are now losing money and are probably going to end up having to shut their doors. I've seen 3 or 4 legacy businesses, talking 30, 40 plus year businesses that have had to shut down in 2025 because of all this stuff happening. So I just don't understand how we can watch people in our own communities be affected like this and keep shrugging our shoulders. So honestly, I'm going to be honest with you, Chris, that wasn't the answer I was expecting. It was a pleasant surprise because I personally feel the same way. And for everything I just said, plus more.
Well, it affects everything.
It does.
Farmers. There are a lot of farmers in Oklahoma, not in your district, but in Oklahoma in general. Here in Georgia as well. I mean, especially places like Florida, who are going to pick those crops. These are people that come over, work hard, make our
money
cheaper.
And
like
affordability hoax, as Trump calls it. It's not a hoax at all. We're feeling it across the board. We still
ain't nobody think it's a hoax here. Like nobody's telling me on the door is like, oh, I'm so relieved that the president let me know that I'm not paying, $18 for 2 pounds of ground beef at Walmart,
You put it in your pocket when you go to Walmart. You
can't deny that. You can't deny how everybody's pocketbooks are empty.
No. Yeah. And just as many Republicans, Independents, Democrats as each other, they all rely on things like Sooner Care. They all rely on a stable economy here in the local area. And
a lot of them are figuring out they relied on SNAP too.
Yeah.
And for some reason, they didn't think that was going to apply to them.
Yeah.
I don't understand. So here's the next question then. And I'm not asking this just for your campaign either. I'm asking it more generally for your district. But how can people get involved? How can they help set the priorities in our communities?
Well, for your broader audience, I know you're nationwide, right? So people need to get involved locally. They need to start caring about these local types of races. Who's running in their state? Who's running on their school boards? All of that. I think that we as Americans have experienced a wake-up call in recent years, and that participating in democracy at every single level is critical. And that's something that over the last 20 to 25 years, I think that those more extreme elements of the Republican Party have employed that very well. They've taken over a lot of school boards. They've taken a lot of those local races. And here in Oklahoma, we have had a Republican supermajority for some 15 years or more now.
Wow.
And so they understand that. And now here, so what I would encourage people to do is find a local organization, whether that's standing up for renters' rights, whether that's standing up for your unhoused or homeless communities, whether it's standing up for legal or other form of immigration rights, policy. Find your passion and find those organizations you're able to support with your dollars or with your volunteer. That's how I got started. That's how I found out about my area. I just picked one night. I just picked, a party meeting in the local county library, and it was that easy to get in the same room as my legislators and start talking to them. And then that's what really put a light bulb over my head, saying, well, these are just normal people. You mean like a normal person like me can just go talk to them? And eventually, it led to me, maybe a normal person like me can actually run and represent this community if I listen enough.
Yeah.
And so that's the first thing I'd recommend people doing is get involved. Because like we said earlier, and like I told Marcus and like we agreed upon, is like there's no substitute for being in person.
No.
So
no,
there really
you got to do it. But
speaking of organizations, I don't know if I already asked, but your Vote Vets came out and sponsored you, right?
Yes, that's correct.
Endorsed you, sorry.
Back in October, they endorsed my race, and I'm proud of that. For those who don't realize, that's the same organization which has endorsed other veterans, even at the national level, like Tammy Duckworth or Mark Kelly. And so I'm really proud of that one. I'm proud to
Flowers.
have that. Mark, let me not forget.
Yeah. No, they're a great organization. They've amplified my stuff too quite a lot. So I was really happy to see that. Are there any other organizations that have come out?
I can think of a couple more organizations that you're probably going to get an endorsement from, but we'll talk about that.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah, set up too.
But no, that's why we're here, though. We're going to talk real quick about your merch and stuff, because I always like bringing this up. But again, people, if you want people to win elections like Chris, we need to donate. We need to help them fundraise, because money is how we get the message out. I know people don't like hearing that, but take it from 3 people who are either currently running or have run from office. It takes a lot of money. And the reason Democrats tend to spend so much money, and I asked Chris this before we got on, I'm actually going to let him tell you why. So there's something that most Democrats put on their merch, their campaign handouts, and all of that. So, and I asked you if you had it on yours, and what is it?
On my merch?
Well, the union stuff.
Gotcha. Yes, my union tag. I'm proud of it. On my all my printing is done at a union print shop. Currently, I pay. I'm happy to pay more than I absolutely need to. I could go to a bottom dollar print shop, but I want to support organized labor. I want to do it in a very real, substantive way, and there's no substitute for that for me. So I pay about triple what I could do it elsewhere, but I get a quality product, and I know that the workers are, making a living wage up there.
Yeah. So 2 things we should take from that. Number 1 is that when you donate to a Democrat, 99.9% of the time, you are also supporting union jobs, which Republicans cannot say. Number 2, when you see Trump and MAGA crap everywhere, it's because they pay a lot less for their stuff because they don't use union shops to do it.
That's it.
So just things to keep in mind when you're donating your money and knowing where it goes and what it supports.
When you see those yard signs for Democrats, when you see those T-shirts and that merch for Democrats, union labor was used. And look for that union button. Looks like a little circle with 2 lines coming out the side. Yep. So always look for that union button, and you'll know it's there, front and center on everything.
Absolutely. And with only 5.9% union participation in Oklahoma, you're damn right I'm going to be supporting unions.
Yep. That's awesome. So, Marcus, you got anything for Chris before we send him on his way?
Well, brother, I thank you again for your service and what you're doing. to continue your service. It was one of the things that drew me in, other than, January 6th, was continuing to serve and serving in a different way. And I applaud that. Again, democracy demands competition. And as Democrats, we've gotten behind in running everywhere. We've got to start or stop writing off rural or red districts because, it's too hard. I would have never run against Marjorie Taylor Greene if I gave up and said, before I started, said, no, that's too hard. Can't do it. Can't be done.
Got to run the race.
You got to run that race.
Got to show up.
Times are changing. People are starting to see things for what they are now.
And starting to, I feel like, appreciate rational candidates. Yeah. I feel like people are like you, and you said this earlier, Chris. It's like people are just tired of all the chaos, and it's like, oh, you're normal. I like normal. Yes. I like normal.
That's why they're responding well. Is it all right if I just make a pitch?
Please, before
basically, Marcus, thank you so much for your words. First of all, I fully agree with that. When I got with a local, there is a current serving legislator that had helped me get my campaign off the ground by going over the realistic, commitment that it's going to require. I asked him, is this an easy, medium, or hard campaign? And he's like, it's very hard. And, my response was, good. This is exactly why I'm running. If I lived in a district where it had good representation, you could be bet I would have a much chiller retirement right now, right? I'm in this fight because it's winnable and realistic, but also because it's hard and nobody else was willing to take this on. So I'm glad to do it. And the reason why I hope that your audience will care, because it is a state house race, is because, guys, if we start handing losses to them here in Oklahoma, which is the test bed for Project 2025, we're going to be handing them losses all across the country, and it's going to be noticed. And if it can happen here in Oklahoma, it will be happening wherever you live. So if anyone has anything to donate, those small dollar monthly donations are so impactful. Help me get more stuff printed at that union shop, and I won't waste a penny of it. We're going to be reaching out to voters every day. I've hit 6. Starting.
Brother, I got a feeling some help's on the way. So stay tuned and keep fighting the good fight, and doing what you do. And yes, we can do hard things, and we have to do hard things. Imagine what this country would look like if we decided not to do the hard thing.
Absolutely. Brother, thank you so much.
Thank you so much. And everybody, we will have all of his information in the description, in the bio or whatever. So his campaign link will be in there. His donation link will be in there. So again, go send him $5, $10. I know everything's expensive, but we still got to win these elections too. So Chris, I'll definitely be calling you soon, brother. I hope that we'll have you back on the show as Representative Select Chris Fowler. And definitely look forward to that, brother. So thank you for joining us, man.
Come back anytime. Thanks for having me on today.
Thanks, Shead, brother.
All right, guys. So Chris Fowler running for Oklahoma House in District 91. This is what we promised you. We promised you elections in local areas, down to the states, down to the counties, the cities, down to the dog walkers. We don't care. We will bring them on the show. So send us whoever you have in your local area that you think is deserving of the microphone, because that's what we're here to do, not just talk about all the chaos and ridiculousness. We actually want to help install the protective mechanisms that are going to save us from this.
Absolutely. People fight. What I call them line holders, because I hold the line pack. They're people who hold the line. It's that next generation of Democratic leadership that's going to push back. And I love seeing veterans run for office, because they understand the commitment. They understand service and what it means to serve the people.
Yeah.
It's never has been. So,
and I'll tell you something about Chris real quick too. It didn't surprise me that he cross-trained. He cross-trained into a tougher career field. And I remember him just kind of always being bored. Like, he was great at the job. He was great at sheet metal painting, whatever we were doing. But it was like, you know how you're around somebody that's like, this is like using like 10% of my brain power.
Yeah.
He was that guy.
I get it.
And so, like I said, it's not surprising to see him run. It's great to see somebody I served with personally that thinks the way that we do, that, you know, is fighting for the same causes and issues that we are, whether it's in Oklahoma or Georgia or Arizona, it doesn't matter. You know, like you said, when you talk to us in person, we're all facing the same things. There's only 0.1% of us that have billions and even hundreds of millions of dollars. And if you're watching this, chances are you ain't one of them.
You ain't one of them. You know?
So,
I forget what's the statistic. Was it that top 1% have 85% of the wealth in this country? Something like that.
Trickle down economics worked great.
It's just working out the way they said it was going to work, is it?
Exactly. So the Golden Globes were, was it this past weekend?
Past weekend, yeah.
Yeah. So Golden Globes, congratulations to all the winners. There were some cool speeches. If you want to watch them, they're all over the internet. What we want to talk about is Mark Ruffalo and some of the other actors. Mark Ruffalo kind of took center stage on it, but it wasn't just him.
A moment. Yeah.
Yeah. These people took the time and had the compassion to use their platform in that moment to highlight exactly what Chris said he's concerned with in Oklahoma, which is ICE being deployed into American cities and the violence that is being carried out against Renee Good. It's just insane. Yeah. And there's more instances that we're going to talk about here in a minute, but we need to start paying attention. For no other reason, I'll give you the biggest example we've had this week of why. The federal chair, Jerome Powell, came out, I believe it was Sunday night, and released a video letting Americans know that basically he and the Federal Reserve were being subpoenaed, and they're going after him criminally over some misconduct relating to renovations to an institution's building, which he said in the video they had gone through all the right processes for that. He literally says, he goes, this has nothing to do with that. He's like, this is about attacking me and discrediting me because I will not lower the interest rate whenever Donald Trump calls and asks me to.
Yeah. So Trump doesn't like an independent Fed, is what he wants. He wants to get rid of Powell, because install one of his cronies so that he can have the full Monty.
Yep.
Everybody doing what Trump says.
So it's really interesting to see all these people facing retribution from Donald Trump and all the people and pundits that said, oh my God, look at what Joe Biden's doing. He's weaponizing the DOJ and the FBI against Donald Trump. I think we can all agree now that wasn't happening, because this is what weaponizing.
Now you know what it really looks like.
Yeah, now we really know what it looks like. So hopefully we can put that one to bed now. This isn't a joke. When somebody like the chairman of the Federal Reserve comes out and says the president and his administration are attacking me because I am using economic data to make my decisions and not caving to political pressure.
Right. I'm not going to lower interest rates because you think it'll help your ratings or whatever, or your poll numbers. No.
Well, that and all those rich people, they borrow all money anyway. That's how they get rich. The other thing that's bothering me about everything going on right now is Mark Kelly. I'm very happy to see that Senator Mark Kelly is suing Pete Hegseth for his attempt to demote him for his participation in a video urging service members not to comply with unlawful or illegal orders. Kelly says the effort is an act of censure and violates his First Amendment rights, as well as his legal immunity as a lawmaker carrying out the duties of his office.
Let's put that in other words. Mark Kelly and the rest of those representatives and senators who made that video were just reminding soldiers, sailors, airmen, Marines, Guardians, honor your oath. Remember your oath.
Yep. And while our oath does say that we respect the office of the president, the next few words after that.
That's just should be honoring his oath, but
exactly. But it says according to Uniform Code of Military Justice, and I think something else. So it's not saying obey the president no matter what. It's saying obey the office of the president as long as their orders fit within
the
this
Constitution. You swear an oath to the Constitution.
Yep.
The Constitution is another way of saying the law.
Yep. And if you're giving orders that violates that, then that's a problem. And I think people are a little confused about what illegal orders are. So let me give you an example of a legal order.
They span the scale.
They really do, but I just want to give a quick example. My first time when I was in Okinawa, we did we did exercises, like a week or two exercise of this is what happens if you deploy. And we get done up in our MOP 4 gear and we go through what happens. And I was the lowest ranking person in my group at the time. And when we're doing the exercise, we had EOD recovery or whatever it was called. And my job as the lowest ranking person was to go outside, walk around, and try to find any EODs, any unexploded ordnances, while everybody else stays inside. That's the way it works. That's a legal order. Take your ass out there and go find them. And if you die, we're going to send the next lowest ranking guy out. That's how it goes. We know that when we sign on the dotted line. Now, let's say I'm a drone pilot and somebody comes in and says, bomb that school. And we don't know that if there are kids in there. Mm-hmm. Or they tell you to go bomb a church and you know that there are civilians and kids in there. You then have a legal obligation not to carry that out. You're knowingly killing civilians and kids. There is nothing in our Constitution or the UCMJ that justifies that or makes it legal. Period.
In that scenario, sometimes
we're not talking about
collateral damage.
We're not talking collateral damage. Yeah.
It could be a legal order.
That I find that different.
Question that order.
Yeah, I find that one different though.
That it's a little bit different. So there's
collateral damage is different than knowing you're
right.
You know what I mean? Like, and I'll tell you this, man. If I've actually
legal order if you just say, okay, bomb this church.
Yeah, no.
With no other intel, no other authorization.
Thank you, because they're going to give you the intel of we know this, so that you know what you're doing is acceptable, that it falls within your scope. Exactly. And it's crazy how many people don't understand that. And again, I've known somebody that was responsible for collateral damage, and I can tell you that they have never been the same. No. So, I applaud anybody that has the courage to look at their command and say, I'm not doing that, because not only is it wrong, but I don't want to live with that shit.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about that last week. Pulling that trigger, whether it's on a drone and you're sitting in Las Vegas or somewhere across the world,
changes you.
Or you're pulling the trigger right in front of someone, it takes a toll.
Speaking of pulling triggers in front of people,
yeah,
let's get into it, man. We already kind of brought up ICE. So what's happening in Minnesota, particularly?
The situation's not getting any better, I can tell you that.
Sure as hell's not.
I can tell you that right now. As a matter of fact, it's getting worse. It's getting crazier.
Yep. It's making them feel more emboldened, which is scary because, like, they're literally walking around and be like, did you not see what we did the other day? You should go home. Right. Like, yeah. I'm sorry, that's a threat.
Yeah, and Trump's one-upping it by saying, "Oh, a day of reckoning and retribution is coming." What the fuck?
When did he do this before?
What does that mean?
You know exactly what it means. Stand back and stand by.
Yeah.
So the situation, as Marcus said, has escalated quite a bit. It's spreading outside of Minneapolis and even Minnesota. So the ICE agent that shot Renee Good, who is a U.S. citizen, she was a widow and the mother of 3. The Trump administration has largely framed her death as her fault, with Kristi Noem alleging that she was committing an act of domestic terrorism. Now they're blaming Renee for her own death and refusing to investigate it as a criminal civil rights case. Jonathan Ross has not been arrested or charged with anything yet, and probably won't be.
Hopefully the state can come up with some things to charge him there.
We'll see. I have zero faith in that happening. I mean, look, when... sorry, did I do that? I don't know if I did that. I'm sorry, Keith. I'm not touching stuff on purpose. No, it's... What's crazy to me
Litigation
is...
is coming. It's got to be. There's got to be some litigation coming, whether it's from the state or civil.
I don't know, bro. Like I said, I don't have a lot of faith right now. I really don't.
We established that ICE is not a local law enforcement. They have no right to be trying to pull her out of her car.
They're not a police force.
Yeah, exactly. They're not a police force, or apprehend her for, who cares if she was blocking traffic? That's not your job. Nope. Call the local PD. Hey, this lady's blocking traffic. Come and get her. So that's going to be litigated, I believe, whether that's at the state level. But ICE has no authority over U.S. citizens. Full stop. Full stop.
Yeah. If Tim Walz pushes it, which I don't see why he wouldn't, because he doesn't have anything, he's not running for re-election. So, he could push this along.
Attorney General there in Minnesota. I mean,
yeah.
Somebody's
I could see that. I could see that happening. We'll see. But I want to tell everybody, we talk a lot about the state of America, the state of our country and our union. And if there's no other example of how screwed we really are right now, let it be the fact that Jonathan Ross has raised over $1 million between Give, Send, Go and GoFundMe.
Is that because he's supposedly hurt, bleeding?
Yeah, apparently it came out today that he has some internal bleeding from being hit by that car, which I call...
His torso.
Yeah, bullshit. Okay. He didn't even fall down. He didn't even get knocked over. Come on, man. If anybody believes that, seriously, I've got to...
We're not even sure the car touched him, to be honest.
I don't think it did. I think he was stepping to the side.
But extensive internal bleeding in his torso.
Oh, I'm going to read exactly what they said. Now the government is saying Agent Ross suffered internal bleeding to the torso following the incident, according to 2 U.S. officials. Love how vague that is. Briefed on his medical condition. It was unclear how extensive the bleeding was. The Department of Homeland Security confirmed Ross's injury, but has not yet responded to our request for more information. I want to see the hospital. I want to see the medical documents. It didn't happen unless we see it. Bleeding,
it sure as hell didn't come from Renee Good's vehicle.
He had somebody hit him with a hammer, like Misery style, when he got home. Hit me right in the hip.
Come on, really,
dude. I wouldn't put it past these people. They're crazy. They're gone. They have zero morals, no character, absolutely no courage. They love the fact that they are being enabled to do this. And the fact that Donald Trump is pardoning anybody that does his bidding is making them feel even more emboldened, which we called on this show when he pardoned all the January 6th people. We said, this is going to make the ICE agents feel like they can go do whatever they want. Yeah. Here we are, folks. I think that was, three months ago we said that?
Yeah. I mean, he created the environment for all of this. Him and Christie know him. This is all on them. And they're trying to send that chilling effect, but the people of Minnesota just really aren't having it right now.
They're not the only people not having it, though, brother. Several DOJ prosecutors have resigned over how the investigations are being carried out. At least 6 prosecutors with the U.S. Attorney's Office in Minnesota have resigned over their concerns with the direction of the investigation into the fatal shooting of Renee Nicole Good by an immigration and customs enforcement officer. The person confirmed the resignations of Joseph Thompson, Melinda Williams, and 4 other attorneys. The 2 named attorneys, Thompson and Williams, did not immediately respond to messages. The attorneys had felt pressure from the Justice Department leadership, both in Minneapolis and in Washington, to investigate any ties to activist groups by Good and her widow. said a law enforcement official with knowledge of their decisions. The official said the prosecutors were also concerned about a decision to cut out state and local authorities from the federal investigation. Minnesota Governor Tim Walz said Thompson was a principled public servant who spent more than a decade in law enforcement within their state.
So we're a year into this administration, 2 weeks into this year.
Yeah. 6 days, again, it'll be a year.
We're seeing people leave en masse. Now, the bad part,
kind of like they did the last administration.
These are a lot of the good people that are leaving, the good career civil servants that are leaving. They're usually the first ones to go because
Yep, exactly.
Just wash their hands of the BS.
Done.
They can't do it. This isn't what they signed up for.
Nope.
And they signed up to serve the people of the United States.
Yep.
They didn't sign up for this.
You know what I found really interesting too?
They take that same oath. They swear an oath to the Constitution, not a man.
Good point. Great point. You know,
they swear an oath to the law. And these are all law-abiding citizens, mind you.
It's really interesting, you know, elect a felon in fraud and expect them to be a felon in fraud, I guess. The worst part for me was, and I don't know if you saw this, Marcus, there was a video of them towing Renee Good's car, the car that she was shot in. And, you know, apparently it's being towed to, you know, wherever it's being towed, but the windows are all down. It's pointing backwards. So, you know, the hood's pointing, you know, back, and it's got nothing covering it. So like all the wind's going in the car, blowing everything around.
Not preserving any evidence.
Zero evidence is being preserved. So it's like, you think they're going to prosecute this guy? Like this is like O.J. Simpson level screwing up an investigation. Like they're completely giving this dude an out. Like they're doing this on purpose.
But I see other lawsuits coming, civil suits.
Oh, civil suits for sure. He won't. I don't see him getting out of the civil suits.
And I'd love to see Minnesota, the state of Minnesota, bring charges.
I mean, unfortunately,
litigated.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see who they end up trying to go for in terms of responsibility. Yeah, that is going to be interesting. But again, this isn't the only person. Keith Porter, I want to mention his name as well because he was murdered by an off-duty ICE agent on New Year's Eve. So Renee Good is not the first, and I'm guessing she's not going to be the last.
No.
So we have to do something. But more importantly, I want to remind folks, we have a Second Amendment in this country. This is exactly what the fuck it was written for. So go read it and then act accordingly.
You know, I want to say this. This is one of those situations, and we talked a little bit about this earlier in the show, how people on the right, maybe not necessarily MAGA, but even some MAGA, a few, and I've seen videos of MAGA coming out saying, hey, this isn't what I signed up for.
Yeah. No, they're coming out.
And there's an article out now, it's either in the New York Times or Washington, whatever. People are saying that the lefty libs are right. They were right about the things that we were warning them about. But it's not just that, because we've been kicking this can down the road
for a while,
for a decade now, since Trump came down that escalator, just kicking that can down the road. He came for, trans people, you were okay with that. Came for black people, you're okay with that.
Yeah.
Latinos, you're okay with that. Muslims, okay with that. Now you shoot
white people that fornicate with them. Yeah.
And people were like, wait a minute. This is a bridge too far. Finally. I hate to say it. I'm glad you've gotten there, but we've been talking about this for a decade now.
Yeah.
We never got a chance to really sit back and enjoy the Biden administration because Trump was running again the next day.
Yeah.
And we knew.
And then it just kept growing. You're like, is it like they're really going to run him again?
Yeah.
Like, okay. But, again, it was purchased for him. You'll never convince me otherwise. There's no freaking way he won that election.
But anyway, everybody else, stop kicking that can down the road because eventually it's always going to come and affect you.
Yep. It's kind of kicking cans down the road. this whole thing with Iran is interesting.
It's dangerous as well, but interesting is one way to put it.
Tell them why it's dangerous.
I'll tell you why it's hypocrisy first. The Trump administration, Trump of all people, saying he's going to go in and stop an authoritative regime from persecuting and killing its people when we've got that shit going on right here in our country.
Yep.
Worry about that first.
Yep.
But going into Iran and trying to help overthrow that regime, that's going to destabilize an entire region.
Yep.
Because they've got proxies everywhere. Everywhere. And you think they're not, it's not like you're just going to roll in like you did in Venezuela with 150 helicopters and a few F-35s. It's not going to go down that way. No. They are a lot better equipped.
Yep.
A lot better equipped.
And they have some allies.
And they have allies. And it's
the problem is everybody hates
we've done
us right
enough
now.
for the world order to disturb the world order right now, but
we are the enemy.
That would be catastrophic.
I mean, would you co-sign that? Would you say on the international stage right now, we are the biggest antagonist. We are the biggest enemy right now.
Oh, definitely. Definitely. Even our own allies are looking at us and saying, what the hell's going on there?
Like, NATO basically threatened us.
Yeah. You've got
like when NATO says if you go into Greenland or one of our allies, we are going to have to respond. Yeah. That's a threat.
It is a threat. And let's think about it.
Rightfully so, by the way. I'm not saying they shouldn't have said it.
You know, we were the only country that invoked Article 5 of the NATO Charter. An attack on one is tantamount to an attack on all.
Yep.
What are our allies going to say when we attack one of the allies? Are the Danish people going to invoke Article 5 and say we've been attacked? Where's the rest of NATO? Are you going to come to our defense?
NATO's already said, yeah.
But a scenario nonetheless.
Yeah, one would have thought it was crazy about, a couple months ago.
Yeah.
But here we are. I remember when Republicans refused to vote for Democrats because they were tired of being the world's police. Do you remember that?
I remember it.
I remember that talking point a lot. Today,
no new wars.
Today, kind of Donald Trump's administration said that they will no longer be issuing immigrant visas to another 75 countries. And I challenge, I'm not going to read them on here. I challenge you to go look them up because there's a lot of them on there. Some of them would be considered our allies. So all part of the plan. I still don't know how going into Iran and Venezuela and helping Israel and doing whatever with Ukraine and Russia, I don't understand how that's America first. I don't understand how shooting American citizens and mothers in the face who literally 26 seconds prior to that said, I'm not mad at you. I don't understand how that's America first. Somebody help me out.
Words. Yeah. I mean, it's not America first, apparently.
Trump
with the
first.
Example I just gave you of Trump on Iran. We're going to go help out protesters there and protect their rights.
We're gassing and pepperballing ours, yeah.
But here at home, we don't have that right to peacefully protest, even though the regime in Iran, look, I'm not defending them. I'm not defending that regime.
No.
They should go.
Yeah, two things can be true at the same time.
Again, there's another situation where two things can be true at once, Ryan.
100%.
That regime is oppressive to women, and everyone in that culture.
Yeah, you know what? I'll put it a different way.
They need to go.
If our economy was on fire, if our job reports coming out were freaking fantastic, if our economic data was looking good, if our Federal Reserve wasn't warning of us of impending doom, I would be all for us getting involved for human rights issues. Totally.
Yeah.
But as Marcus has pointed out several times in this episode, that's not where we're at.
There are other avenues for that.
Yeah.
The sanctions are crippling. That's part of the reason why it's not just students in Iran who are protesting. It's business owners now.
Yeah, it's
business
good
class who are protesting because they're feeling the weight of those sanctions.
Yep.
Let them get rid of that regime. We can't go in by force and take this over. And I'm afraid they're thinking that
it's about to happen.
State Department's evacuating our personnel in Qatar. So,
yep. I'm anticipating some Sikorsky helicopter orders here in the near future. By the way, I think because Marcus and I understand how federal contracting works, that maybe we see it more than others do. But in case you didn't grasp what's happening here, Donald Trump was given a lot of money by federal contractors and tank manufacturers, helicopter manufacturers, ammo manufacturers, gun manufacturers. So much, in fact, that his family helped grab a gun, go public on the New York Stock Exchange. So they have a lot of vested interest in creating wars. So start looking around and seeing the contracts coming up, because I can tell you here in Arizona, we have Davis Mountain right down the road. And I can promise you that we have seen a massive uptick in activity. They're moving units here that have never been here before. This is all verifiable in the public, by the way. I'm not telling anything that nobody knows. But for us, this is all very telling of what is happening and why. Venezuela is about oil. And the fact that Donald Trump put all the oil executives out there and basically didn't talk to Congress at all, but apparently was communicating with the oil executives.
No authorization for use of military force. And we're just going to go do it.
That's crazy. But I think we have a video, because I want people to see how crazy this really has gotten. So I think the first one we've got is the oil executive, I believe, is contradicting what Trump said. Sorry.
With respect to Venezuela in particular, we have a very long history in Venezuela. In fact, we first got into Venezuela back in 1940s. We've had our assets seized there twice. And so you can imagine to re-enter a third time would require some pretty significant changes from what we've historically seen here and what is currently the state. If we look at the legal and commercial constructs and frameworks in place today in Venezuela, today it's uninvestable. And so significant changes have to be made to those commercial frameworks, the legal system. There has to be durable investment protections, and there has to be a change to the hydrocarbon laws in the country. We're confident that with this administration and President Trump working hand in hand with the Venezuelan government, that those changes can be put.
No, they can't. And no, they won't. But good try. But by the way, Trump, like either later that night or the next morning on his plane, said that Exxon probably won't be included in the business deal.
You guys aren't invited to the party because
you're not invited.
Telling the truth.
Truth is very costly these days.
Yeah,
especially from the freedom of speech crowd.
Administration into trouble when they decide to tell the truth, or they decide to do the right thing. Why is that?
I'm telling you, man, all these MAGA people that claim to be Christians, they gotta I'm surprised they don't spontaneously combust when they walk near a church or a school. Sorry, that was bad. So I just want to move on real quick though to the next video we have, which is Donald Trump just randomly getting up in a meeting, cabinet meeting, I believe it was, and walking over to the door and starts rambling about something else. Now, I'm not a doctor, but I have been around some folks with dementia, and I believe that's something, was it sundowning?
That's it.
It's something similar to that. So watch this video and just imagine if this had been Joe Biden, if this had been, anybody else in the Democratic Party that's over the age of 70.
I got to look at this myself. Wow. What a view. This is the door to the ballroom. Unusual time to look, but I figure we might as well do it. If the fake news would like to go back and take a look, you can, but you'll see a very big foundation that's moving. We're ahead of schedule in the ballroom and
Thank God why we have ICE shooting Americans in the face, that we have a ballroom.
Yeah. I
mean, that's on top of the
Joe
Saudi
Biden
jet.
Coughing, right? They went on Obama for wearing a tan suit. That was the only thing they could really get on him,
Yeah, 0 indictments, 0 convictions. Same for Biden. Because his son wasn't in the administration.
Yeah.
So
occasion after occasion. I'm going to just get up in the middle of this meeting and go,
that's weird.
Look at this foundation that they're building for a ballroom that I destroyed.
Yeah.
The people's house.
Like that used to be the East Wing.
Yeah.
That's another thing, dude. The fact that we let this man just bulldoze part of the White House will forever boggle my mind.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe somebody ought to put it back the way it was when he's gone. Just an idea. But then
look, the first person that comes out running for president in 2028 that says on the first day after they are elected and sworn in, they are going to march into the Oval Office, sit down, and write one simple executive order that says anything and everything with the felon and business fraud signature on it is null and void.
Undoing it all.
Anything.
All of his executive orders.
Tax code, fuck all of it. Anything a business fraud signed and a felon should be null and void. And the fact that you all voted for this man, again, knowing all of that on top of him being a sexual predator, again, will forever boggle my mind. I wish that I was stupid, Marcus. I wish that I didn't. I wish my IQ was about room temperature, like 72. And I wish that my moral fabric was that of a cardigan sweater that's been washed over and over for the last 30 years.
Well, let's see if any of the candidates who are going to run in 28, and I'm sure there are going to be a lot of them, will have the courage of the conviction to say that everything he signed by executive
order.
Here we
go. I want this to look back at. Give me your prediction. Who's going to be the front runner in 2028?
Whew. Man, that's a lifetime.
Just a prediction. Just a prediction.
Can't say right now. I don't know.
You won't even give me a prediction, bro?
Won't do a prediction right now.
All right, I'll do it.
Things change.
Oh, they do change. They do change.
Someone could be a front runner, and it could be the person that I like.
I'm gonna say.
And you get to Super Tuesday, and they're no longer the front runner.
So that would suck. Yeah, that would suck. I will. I'm gonna say mine, and in this, I will admit that this is probably more of a wishful thinking than a prediction. But, dude, I want Pete Buttigieg. I really do, and I know that it's a long shot because you look at how they've been able to weaponize the transgender community, and they're able to weaponize the gay community just as bad. And the fact that they have a baby, like they don't want healthy families. They don't think that's a healthy family. And so I know he has a lot of stuff that's going to work against
business, but hey,
it isn't. But at the end of the day, when I hear him speak, when I hear him explain his positions, when I look at his voting history, I'm like, this is a dude that I can get behind. This is somebody that I would like representing me on the world stage because I've watched him go into, Fox News and sit down and just hand them their butt.
Yeah.
And that's what we need. Somebody that can be very cool, calm, and collected, which is not my forte, and just sit there and be like, okay, I understand your position, but here's why it's wrong. Or here's why there's a better direction to go. That's what we need, man. We don't need the hyperbole, the nonsense. We need somebody like that, boring, intelligent, that just gets the job done.
Authenticity means a lot to me. Obviously, service means a lot to me as well. I mean,
Yeah.
military service. And there are about 4 candidates or 4 people who may end up running for president on the Democratic side of the House that I really respect. And I think either one of those 4 people would be not just compared to our current president, but would be amazing people to run the country, to come back from where we are now. So there's about 4 people that I'm keeping my eye on.
Yeah.
I think either one of those 4 would be excellent. Eventually, I'll have to, choose which one of them I'm going to throw my support behind.
You're just hoping they make it easy. Yeah, no, I hear
you. Yeah. So, but again,
you're just waiting for it. Yeah, exactly.
Again, democracy demands competition.
No, it does.
And that's
Absolutely.
why we had these primaries, so that.
And we said the same thing about Jasmine Crockett in Texas. Like, I make no, I don't keep it a secret. I'm Jasmine Crockett supporter.
Yeah.
But I have no problem, with that competition, because if he can really beat her out, then show us. If you can beat her in a debate, if you can show us that you have a better vision, all power to you. Mm-hmm. But right now, I'm supporting the black woman, the educated, accomplished woman that has shown me that when she's given the microphone, she won't hesitate to use it.
Yeah, she has no problems using her platform and being, in my opinion, very eloquent.
Yes.
At coming back on those who would wish harm to her.
Yep.
Say it that way, and who just aren't there for service. They think it's all for show. So
yeah, she's not just her. Performative.
She's a friend, love her to death. We need to see more just like her.
Yep.
That's my opinion.
100%.
And that's the kind of authenticity and strength that I like to see in a representative. So
that we need. We need it, man.
Yeah.
But it's one of the reasons that people respond, to our approach, because it's like, hey, I'm me. Like, I know you're not going to agree with everything I say. I don't expect you to. But, I've been here 6 years doing the same fight. You and I have been fighting shoulder to shoulder for 4 years. It's just like, this is what it is, man. And we are at the culmination, the tipping point, the time where we have to figure out that America's bigger than one man and one political party or even one agenda. And we need to remember that. And the only way that we can fight back and push back is if we band together as Americans. You haven't heard us talk a whole lot today about Democrat, Republican, whatever. You're hearing us talk about America, Americans, us, citizens, our kids, education, affordability. These are the things that we focus on here on this show. So with that in mind, who do we have coming on? Who's our next guest?
I think our next guest is going to be a good friend of mine who's running for the seat that I ran for, our Brigadier General Sean Harris, who's running for Georgia's 14th congressional district in the special election because Marjorie Taylor Greene vacated that seat. So he'll be coming up next on our next show. And
I'm very excited
to having that conversation with him, a district I'm very familiar with that I ran for. And Sean's
I feel like I'm going to be like the passenger for that one a little bit. I'm really excited. Sean's followed me on social media for years, but I've never gotten to talk to him. So I'm really excited to have that particular conversation and to see you guys, just to see you guys too, talk about the game plan in that district and what that's looking like right now. So guys, make sure you hit that subscribe button so that you don't miss any of these candidates that we have coming out. Our team is working hard to find us some other great people. So help us out, help our team out, send us some ideas, especially on Marcus's Substack. Go on there, comment, tell us which representatives you'd like us to go try to get on, and we will do that because we are here to help educate folks, to help build the Democratic Party back up, and to help make sure that we don't elect any more frauds and felons.
There you go. Absolutely.
So with that, brother, you got anything before we go?
Always, man. Stay the course, ladies and gentlemen. Keep fighting. Stay tuned. This isn't over.
Yep.
We're going to do everything we can to get our country back on track. Let's just leave it there.
Yep.
Godspeed, everybody.
I like that. All right. So I'll leave you as I always do with much love. Keep fighting. But most importantly right now, please be safe out there. Keep your head on a swivel.